Hey guys, my name is Brandon and welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video. Hey everyone and welcome back to Is That More Brandon. So in today's video I'm actually going to be doing a review for the Martha Scott aka Fiona Harvey interview based on Baby Reindeer, the film that was based on a true story, which in itself has had a lot of critique and a lot of criticism. So I guess what I'm going to do with this video is just kind of explain it from what I've seen about the interview and also kind of just how I've seen it from both sides, because I think obviously it's one of these things that is just going around almost like coronavirus 3 years ago, but kind of Baby Reindeer is this new phenomenon of, you know, the Netflix drama that's been going around. And you've obviously got people on Martha, aka her real name, Fiona's side, who she is supposedly the kind of real life version of the character who's kind of, you know, stepped forward into the limelight. People are obviously speaking about her, giving their opinions on her from what they've seen about her in the film. And obviously she's come out saying, hang on, a load of those allegations are not correct. There are some bits and some aspects that might be true, that, you know, she might have sent a few emails or she might have seen Richard Gadd a few times in person, but the fact that there's a lot of things in the series that are not true or based on a true story, she basically is just saying that he's just crazy, out of his mind, and things like that. So obviously I will get into that into a bit more of detail, but like I said, from her side it's more of she's kind of saying that she doesn't believe a lot of the stuff that he said about her, that he just made it up. And then from obviously his side, you obviously know that he did have all these, you know, different issues going on at the same time, the allegations, his, you know, girlfriend at the time, issues with parents, the whole moving around situation. So, you know, he wasn't exactly in a stable position. So again, people are doubting whether everything he said is 100% genuine or whether he's just kind of run away with the story, kind of done like a hyperbole thing, which is what Martha explained, to kind of just take a really small thing that happened and turn it into some massive storyline. So yeah, that's kind of what you have in terms of both her and him. So I guess from this video it's kind of just working out whether you're team Fiona or whether you're team Richard or whether you're neither. And obviously this interview was done by Piers and I think it was done incredibly well. I'll be honest, he's not my favourite journalist, or he's not my favourite person in the news, but I think he is one of those people that, you know, he doesn't come across as an angry person in his interviews. He genuinely just wants to get down to the truth, which is why, you know, when there was issues with the whole Harry and Meghan situation, obviously now you've got the recent situation with the whole Drake and Kendrick thing, so you've got all these different issues, all these different allegations, you've got all these different things that are going on. You know, he's just one of those, I feel like he potentially could be a hothead where he can just absolutely erupt, but I guess in terms of like these kind of sensitive, global, viral stories, you just kind of want to know the version of the story from one person's side, the version of the story from the other person's side, and then obviously just kind of use both of that to help all sort of media publicity and newspapers and magazines to actually get down to the real truth. So I did actually summarise the interview. So this is actually Fiona Harvey. So she, apparently her real name before was Fiona Harvey Muir, Fiona Muir Harvey. So that was kind of an interesting finding out straight away, because obviously, yeah, supposedly in the film she'd supposedly had a criminal record, apparently gone to prison, apparently, you know, ended up in situations with different politicians. And again, that was all kind of addressed in the interview. But like I said, when Piers was asking these questions, it wasn't kind of like a, you're guilty. I think he even said it somewhere near the beginning where he was just saying, look, obviously we don't really know what to believe. The only person that kind of knows the truth is her and obviously Richard. So I guess it's just that thing of hearing both sides, seeing, you know, who says what about who, and then just kind of going from there. So yeah, I think they've both got lawyers, they've both got legal teams, they've both got all these things going on. And for such a, you know, a viral thing to just go viral so quickly, almost something like Squid Games, that literally it came out, people watched it, were absolutely fascinated by it, and then, you know, they're doing their own Squid Game versions, and then Squid Game on Netflix came out. So it's kind of like that one little thing comes out, you know, sparks a bit of a trend, and then people start talking about it and it becomes the talk of everywhere. So yeah, In terms of the beginning of the interview, obviously they said Netflix had basically explained that it was based on a true story as opposed to inspired by X, Y, or Z. It was based on a true story. She basically explained that she's had a lot of death threats and people calling her, and obviously what I find here quite ironic is that she's kind of complaining that people have been calling her and have been, you know, saying all these things to her, whereas actually that's kind of nothing compared to the allegations of what she was doing to him. The thousands of phone calls, thousands of voicemails, thousands of messages, all these letters that she was sending. So I kind of didn't really feel sorry for her. So I didn't really feel sorry for her at the beginning of the interview. Piers Morgan actually asked her whether she's using any social media, and she said she's been off Facebook as of yesterday. So literally, it just happens to be that the day before she was on Facebook, and then by the time of the interview she wasn't using it. Don't believe it at all. She said that Richard potentially has extreme psychiatric problems. It's a work of fiction, a work of hyperbole, which basically is just him having had some sort of statement or interaction with Fiona and then kind of turn it into something massive that isn't reality or isn't, you know, what the actual story was. She basically explained her side of the story, where obviously Richard visually describes she's come into the pub and looked really, really upset and he got her a free cup of coffee. She said that wasn't the story. She said he actually interrupted her conversation. She was having dinner with a friend and she had to have a glass of lemonade because she wasn't able to drink anything kind of sensitive or alcoholic because she's actually diabetic. And she did also reveal that she did have a teddy of a reindeer, so she did actually call it Baby Reindeer. So she basically admitted that she was the character in this play, but the things that were kind of said about her and the actions that were taken supposedly by her were not true and they were all fiction. She said that she has never seen him at her house. She didn't send any emails, letters or tweets. She might have sent him a few emails. In total there were 18 tweets, and she did send him one letter saying that, you know, any kind of interaction they had was just banter. And then Piers Morgan kind of basically explained here that, you know, even 18 tweets to one person in such significantly short amount of time is still a bit strange. And even some of them were a bit like naughty. Like, I can't really remember what some of the conversations were, but it was like, oh, you look good in your shorts, or you look good with whatever, or something like that. But it kind of almost was a similarity for the character in the film. Obviously that was just a little bit more explicit. She was also asked about whether she was pretending to use her iPhone, because obviously she, you know, every so often the messages would come through sent from my iPhone, but iPhone was spelt wrong. And she basically said that she didn't actually have or use a smartphone. She's not really good with technology, and she ended up having a few kind of like burner phones because, you know, there was 2 of them that didn't work and one of them that, you know, broke down and she needed to buy a new one and whatever. So again, kind of deflecting off the fact of she didn't actually own an iPhone because she's not good with tech. I think she's a smart enough woman to know she was obviously trying to do anything to kind of deflect off the fact that she didn't have an iPhone. So it was like, let me pretend I've got an iPhone, so if they do try and trace me, they'll track Apple and, you know, go down that route as opposed to my brick or my Nokia or whatever I'm using. She also said that she's going to be accusing both Richard and Netflix of lying about the story. Piers Morgan then jumped in saying it is easy for the police to obviously track, and obviously in terms of those texts, the voicemails and messages, they can easily find out where it came from, IP address, things like that. And she said, yep, she would like to see evidence from Netflix. She also explained that she's never heckled Richard before at his comedy performances, and she said she may have gone once or twice. She never went to his address and has never contacted his parents, which again were all 3 things that were mentioned in the film. She also said that she didn't go to jail, she was never charged, and she was never guilty of any charges. And she did obviously then explain, like I said before, that her name used to be Fiona Muir Harvey, and then she actually changed her name, and nobody from Netflix has contacted her about the series that came out. She kind of saw it advertised as part of a comedy festival in Edinburgh, and then obviously that's when she kind of knew, oh my goodness, Baby Reindeer is about me. She basically said that Richard was obviously making this series purely for the money, and that the actress doesn't actually sound anything or look anything like her, with Piers Morgan saying, well, obviously she's an actress. She actually is English. She's just putting on a voice similar to that of the character in real life, which was obviously herself. She said that his psychiatric behaviour was outrageous, and that she has a lot of friends. She's got her whole life and career set up in terms of her future and things like that. And she basically explained that Richard was full of himself, and in total she only knew him for about 2 or 3 months. Piers Morgan asked whether she thought he was unwell, and whether Richard needed any help. And he also explained that he didn't treat Martha or Fiona as a villain, he just wanted to help her out, basically. Piers also explained that, you know, some of the things that he alleged her of were smashing the bar, sexual assault, going to prison. I think she said that fans speculate it's a little bit rich now in terms of the fact that Netflix didn't want to reveal her identity and Richard didn't want to reveal the real life person's identity. But I think in this country, when people say don't do something, it actually makes you want to do it 10 times more. So for example, when they go, oh, don't try and track this person down, like, we're not going to tell you who it is, but we're going to give you all of the right signs, body features, you know, how someone speaks and language and things like that. Don't go and track them, but kind of hinting that it wouldn't be difficult to track them based on all of the visuals and you know, the vocals that you're seeing. So I think it was kind of a little bit bad there by Netflix and Richard for obviously saying, well, let's not identify her, but then kind of using all of the same characteristics that pretty much identify someone who's similar to the real life Martha, i.e. Fiona. She basically described her growing up. So she said that she was born in the Scottish countryside, middle class. She has a sister and she has divorced parents with her mum, who is obviously still alive. And she basically explained that she doesn't want to tell her mum about the situation because she doesn't want to worry her mum, but she obviously knows that her mum's going to kind of see all these news stories, so she'll, I guess, explain it to her briefly, but, you know, she doesn't want to get into the deep details of that, which again Piers Morgan found a bit weird. Why would you not want to tell your mum that you're part of some weird, you know, criminal court situation thing, because surely she'll be worried not hearing from you, but she'll be even more worried when she sees your face plastered on all the magazines. So even if she doesn't watch the series, she's going to still know that her daughter is on all the papers. She explained that she was headhunted to do employment law, and I think Piers Morgan, that's what he basically said that to her, that she was headhunted for a job, and she said, yeah, that's fine. And then he added, but you were sacked a few days later. So I don't think she saw that coming. I think he just kind of saw it. He kind of wanted to explain it in terms of like start it as a good sentence of like, yeah, you got headhunted, but then you quickly sacked. And then Piers Morgan basically explained that Laura Walker, who was the person who worked for this employment company, and obviously Richard Gadd, had both made complaints about her. They were both kind of from different parts of life, and he was just a little bit confused as to why two people from two different walks of life both had a reason to discredit her. Laura in terms of how kind of she worked for Laura, and then Richard in terms of how he was treated by her in that kind of weird love triangle relationship, going to the pub situation. She said that he was obviously spreading misinformation around Camden in London, and obviously he is actually a stalker. And Piers Morgan asked her how would the men react when they find out about this, in terms of, you know, people that she's previously spoken to. She said that she currently has a boyfriend in London. He's a lawyer. They've been together for about 5 years, and people have been really nice about the situation. And then I think Piers Morgan brought up the emails thing again, and she just said, you're obsessed with the emails. He probably taped me, which is actually quite ironic again, because you can see in one of the scenes in the film that as he's kind of telling her, almost like bait, to kind of send him a really naughty message and tell him all the things she wants to do to him, she was actually taping that, supposedly. So for her to kind of say things that she's actually done herself, that kind of put her a little bit in the red. And then I think Piers asked her what he would challenge her to do, and she said, I challenge him to leave me alone. They're both completely wrong with the whole emails and letters situation. It was built as a true story, the rest of it isn't true. Even if the emails are true, it doesn't mean the rest of it is true. So that was one of the lines that Piers Morgan brought up as well. So she said, well, even if the emails are true, it doesn't mean the rest of it, in terms of the sexual allegation and, you know, the rest of it is true. So again, he kind of questioned, saying, well, hang on, if you know you didn't send those emails, why would you kind of half say, well, you know, if that did happen, I didn't do all the bad stuff. Again, it's kind of her just almost putting her foot in it, or pretty much putting her foot in it, saying, you know, even if I did send all those thousands of emails, I'm still not guilty of all of the even more serious charges. So again, really strange that she said that, because if you know you haven't done something, you genuinely will just say, I haven't done that, I know I've not done that. You don't go, but you know, if I did do that, because that then sounds a bit suspicious. And then she basically said about Richard that he should get a life, get a proper job, and she's going to sue both Richard, Netflix, and the newspaper, the Daily Mail. So I just kind of wish her good luck for that, but I'm not sure how successful that's going to be. And I think that's the thing, it just depends what lawyers you have on both sides. It depends how serious this case actually gets. This is going to become a very trending, viral kind of court case situation, like the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, like the Kendrick Lamar Drake thing, like the Meghan and Harry thing. So yeah, I think with all of these stories, it is all usually couples or rappers or, you know, musicians and things like that. So that would be quite interesting to see where that goes from there. She also explained that she wouldn't be suing if 41,000 emails came from her, because obviously that's a bit strange. And she also explained that nobody she knows had seen his show at the Edinburgh Fringe. So I think for some reason she wasn't able to go for whatever reason, but no one that she knows, or none of her friends or her family or cousins or whatever, were able to go and see that. She also said that she had a lot of women warning her about Richard Gadd, which again, I do find a little bit strange. Why would they be warning her about him when she is supposedly the one that's, you know, stalking him and being weird with him? That just doesn't sit right with me either. And then Piers basically said, again, back with the letter situation, that she obviously admitted that she sent the one letter to him, which she absolutely said, yes, I did send him a letter, either congratulating him on his work or, you know, kind of checking in with him, seeing how he is. And I guess even that's just a bit strange, because now she's admitted to messages on Twitter, she's admitted to a couple of emails, and she's admitted to one letter. He basically said, well, there were 105 other letters, so once they are checked by somebody, like a handwriting expert, for example, if they trace and track and see that, hang on, all of these letters were written by the same person as the same handwriting as the one that she sent, then that's going to look really suspicious when she's literally said that she's only sent one. So I don't think this case is closed. I don't think this story will end. I think this is just the beginning of a really, really long court case, but it is literally Team Fiona against Team Richard, plus everyone else in the middle who happened to get dragged in from both sides, the extra characters that are probably still part of the story, the people, you know, maybe they'll try and find other real life people. They'll try and find the guy that, you know, gave Richard drugs. They'll try and find the girl that, you know, he was on a date with, the trans girl. They'll probably try and find his parents if they haven't already found him. So yeah, I think this is just kind of the start of either something good, catching all the, you know, the bad people and the strange people, and, you know, giving them the sentences and things that they need, or it could start something bad where literally it just causes everyone to just cause havoc, to try and look for all of the characters in the film, in Edinburgh or Scotland or whatever it is, and, you know, put a lot of people in a dangerous situation. She also explained that she had 6 or 4 email addresses, different phones for different people and different things. She said that she had one phone for utilities, one phone for friends. She had 4 phones, and she said, well, you know, that might even seem that I'm a bit of a maniac or a little bit of a stalker, but I wanted to just keep everything separate. So again, very, very strange. I mean, I have a couple of YouTube channels, I have a couple of email addresses, but I don't have 6, and I don't keep separate things on separate phones. That's just almost not believable at all. And again, Piers basically said, look, we can go back to all of those companies of, you know, the phones that you've got, the SIM cards that you've got, the company providers that you're with, and actually go back and kind of see all of this communication and contact, and who you've actually had that with as well. He then actually asked her, was you ever in love with him? And she basically replied saying, is that a serious question? Again, this is what I didn't believe, when she basically said, he asked me to sleep with him. She gave him the really, really hard brush off, saying that she wasn't interested, and that she doesn't fancy little boys without jobs. So I think at this point, she must have been 30s, 40 something, he must have been 20 something. So yeah, she was that little bit older than him anyway, but she said that she wasn't interested in him. Piers added that Richard and Netflix's duty of care was obviously quite bad. It's obviously painted quite a bad picture of her. And I think this is when she asked Piers how much he's probably earned from the film series so far. She was basically told anywhere between 750,000 and a little bit more, and she thinks as of now it's probably between the 3 or 4 million range. And Piers basically said that he's basically making money out of her stalking him. So you know, because of her negative actions, he's actually now doing 100 times better than when she was stalking him, because obviously I don't think if that actually happened, everything that he's explained at that time, I think the least important thing he was worrying about was money. It was more just, get this woman out of my life, she's a bit crazy and she's kind of messing little things up as we go along. She also explained that she had photographic memory, she was on top of her school, she got a law degree grade, not sure on what grade she did. She did 13 law subjects and also a politics degree. Again, Piers was trying to push her on this one a little bit, just asking her what her grade was, her overall grade. And I don't know why someone who did a degree can't tell you their grade. You either get a 2-1 or a 2-2 or a merit, pass, distinction, whatever. And the fact that she was like, oh, I don't know my overall grade. It's like, you literally get a certificate. If you've only done 1 degree, you're there for long enough to know what your grade is. So that was just an excuse for her to just not. It's almost like, well, hang on, what if you give your grade? What does that mean? People might go, oh, we could have got higher, or they'll start tracking it on the system. So be like, oh yeah, actually that's true, she did get that grade, or oh actually no, she didn't get that, she's lying. So yeah, I'm not sure why she couldn't just say, I got a law degree and this was my grade. She said, I got a law degree with a grade. Yeah, it was alright, it wasn't bad. I was like, yeah, it was alright, it wasn't bad. It's like, okay, well, what are you hiding? He also asked Martha or Fiona if she would take a lie detector test. She said yes, absolutely. And then she basically said that all of them are very good liars. And he basically said that she was either innocent or she was just a terrible liar. And she said that she does have to tell white lies if she has to, in terms of, for example, her 94-year-old neighbour who was in hospital, kind of taking their last breath. Obviously, Fiona basically was saying, oh, we'll see you in the morning, have a lovely sleep, la la la. She knew that person was going to die that night, but she obviously couldn't say that. That was her little white lie of, you know, keeping things away from people if it's going to kind of affect them in a bad way. She said overall that she's met Richard Gadd 5 to 6 times in her life, which again, over a course of 3 months, you've only met someone 6 times. That's kind of not even every other week. And Piers Morgan said that obviously for the doubters that are watching this, and for the people that read the articles and how they are promoting her, people obviously are going to judge for themselves about what her kind of personality is like. And she basically said to the camera, make up your own mind, he is a liar, my friends agree with me too, as well. So yeah, that was kind of the last part of the interview where he basically said, look, for the people that don't believe you, sell yourself. And she just basically said, you know, watch this interview, watch the articles, how they promote me, judge for yourselves, make up your own mind. He is a liar. My friends agree with me likewise. So yeah, I think overall it was a very strange interview, because I think it's one of those things, like I said, similar to all those other films and series and things, that it is a bit of a controversial topic. It is that, you know, story that is kind of just going viral for all the right, all wrong reasons, but it is a really interesting and really important story nonetheless. But yeah, it's kind of just whether you're on her side or his side. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's my analysis of the interview. So if you did enjoy the review, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Let me know down below, are you team Fiona/Martha, or are you team Richard slash whatever his character's name was? And if you did enjoy, don't forget to drop a like, comment, share and subscribe. And until my next review, thank you very much for watching and goodbye.